before getting to do this job, I would always really appreciate anytime someone I would listen to on a college football podcast or otherwise that would just kind of share what their experience was like going to cool places at that point in time I wasn't able to go to. And so for us getting to go to the national championship and then they call it work, like you expense your gas to get out there, just the whole thing is hysterical. But being there was phenomenal. Like the game itself was electric, and we've talked about that a lot. But even the things leading up to the game, there's a point in time, I guess it was the Monday of the game, Cato and I looking for somewhere to eat before the game, walking around. I said to him, I was like, it feels like we're in the Midwest right now. Like the weather is in the 20s or the teens, and we are surrounded by Buckeye fans, surrounded by Notre Dame fans. I was surprised at how, maybe surprised the wrong word, but like I was blown away in some ways, but which is more than surprised. The Ohio State faithful traveled. Like I did not think it would be the divide that it was. And it was a full-on takeover from the Buckeyes in Atlanta. It was one of my first takeaways, Cato.
Yeah, it was a really cool environment. We can talk about all the inner workings that surrounded the game, before the game, after the game, and all that. But when you talk about a fan base perspective, when we do this job and we're in the studio all the time, we're cranking out work, you might lose touch, lose a pulse with the actual fan bases. But seeing, Lord knows where these people traveled from to get to Atlanta and support their teams. There was a crowd of fans from both sides at media days. There's crowd obviously at the game. The game was cool. It almost had a Cotton Level Bowl feel. I've never been to that game against Texas and Oklahoma, but one end zone was Ohio State and one was Notre Dame predominantly. Yeah. Ohio State won the matchup as far as around the full stadium, but it was so cool seeing the opposition trying to score at certain points of the game and having the fans cheer. You have dudes who look like they've played on or rooted for Notre Dame since Lou Holtz was there. They're trying to watch their team win a natty. Same with Ohio State, just another desperate fan base. Was so cool seeing that, seeing the different jersey pulls, dudes wearing Ezekiel Elliott jerseys out there. Just it was a fun time. It was a great time. The fans couldn't be more thankful for them for making this thing go. But they were definitely the engine of the weekend, I think, as far as the vehicle and the horsepower that we saw this weekend from a reaction standpoint from these two fan bases.
That was the thing. The jerseys from both. We saw Chris Olave. You saw J.K. Dobbins jerseys. You saw
Brady Quinn jersey at
Brady
one point.
Quinn jersey.
Awesome
Teo jersey.
Awesome pulls, man.
It was like those are some deep cuts. Like you've seen some games if you're rocking any of those jerseys that we just mentioned. So the way the fans traveled, showed out, and then also the post game. Obviously, you and I are down there on the field afterwards. But as we make our way down, seeing the emotion from the Buckeye fans of tears and not shock, but definitely awe of just the moment that it was. You could tell, too, how much it meant to that fan base. That was also a really cool thing to see up close and personal. It just kind of reminds you why we love college football so much. Yeah, the playoffs changed. Yeah, there's NIL in the portal. And, yeah, there's different things that come with college football now. But you couldn't have told anybody wearing scarlet and gray that night that there was anything less valid or different about the national title they got.
No, and the post-game celebration was a thing within itself. You talk about being on the field when the confetti drops and seeing the culmination of all these guys' work finally coming into fruition and being at the very top of the game. Such a cool thing, man. I mean, I know you came from the Ivy League level. I played the Sun Bowl. I won a Sun Belt championship, and that was a great time. I wouldn't trade those memories for the world, but I couldn't imagine what it takes to do that at the very, very highest level until being on the field and seeing the emotion pour out of these guys as far as being there. You see so many different stories from these guys, too. You talk about a Jeremiah Smith where this is his first ever college football season, and this is all he knows. You talk about the captains of this team, the JTTs, the Jack Sawyers, being there, working year after year trying to get to this point, not being able to get over the Michigan hump, still not being able to get over that hump and still make it to this stage. You talk about all the transfers who this is their first year with Ohio State and they had their fingerprints all over this one. The Quinshon Judkins game, you could call this. You have Will Howard balling out. Just so many different stories all culminating to this team that had guys who haven't played with each other coming together and getting this win. It was awesome to see, and the Ryan Day reaction was awesome too. This fan base has gotten its level of flack for how they've treated Ryan Day through social media, through the media, the narrative surrounding him. Dudes were just so happy for this guy, and you couldn't help but be happy for this guy being in person for this game too.
I want to go rapid fire, then get to a story really quick. I can't believe I didn't lead with this. We both agree, Jeremiah Smith, freak show, true 225. The broadcast never does justice how massive he is. Other thing I was going to say, the stars were out, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we saw Travis Scott. We
Anthony
saw
Mackie.
Joe Montana.
Joe Montana was there. I saw Jerome Bettis on the sideline, Patrick Peterson. There was a lot of college football royalty and just royalty in general in the house. It was an awesome vibe. The pregame vibes was probably my favorite part of the game, just walking around, seeing those different celebrities that were there, seeing the players warm up and how they prepare. Every team prepares differently and players prepare differently. It was awesome definitely to see the pregame vibes. You couldn't take the guys off the field when it came to pregame. It was an awesome time.
I'm glad you said that because I was going to blow past that thought before we got to this story. Nobody at the national championship game, whether you are an independent creator or whether you work for one of the large networks, nobody is too big for that moment pregame, which is just so cool. You can tell everyone, maybe they go to games every weekend or maybe it's their job to work in college football, but like everybody in that moment is a kid on Christmas morning seeing Ohio State run out. The pregame music, like just the atmosphere in itself is so large. So to see other people that we work with also in awe and enjoying, like that was a really cool moment and just kind of makes you grateful to do what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was cool just seeing the stadium fill up throughout the pregame because we get out there, we're sickos, man. We get out there as early as we can. We're there when it's an empty stadium. There's a couple of Ohio State fans. The band is still out there tuning their instruments, and then just a minute after minute, feel the fans coming in, the energy starts to get up and up, the players start warming up, the celebs start coming out. It was a cool moment, man. I cannot lie. I almost enjoyed the pregame as much as the actual game, and that's saying a lot because you and me are sitting next to each other when Notre Dame scores that last touchdown, and we're like, uh-oh. Like,
shoot, are the
Fighting Irish about to do something crazy here?
A photo finish? And people were leaving the stadium.
Oh, man.
People had filed out before that.
It would have been a Miami Heat Spurs situation where dudes would have been coming back in the stadium to see what went on. But, no, it was a special weekend for sure. You talk about the size of these guys, too. I mean, we're at media days, and you see the edge rushers like JT Tuimalau, and you see Jack Sawyer on TV, and I was really impressed with their speed. But then you see them in person, and these dudes are massive. They're huge. They're bigger than any player I've ever played with. I felt like at App State, probably same for you in the Ivy League. They're a lot of physically impressive dudes. Pat Coogan's a monster. So just being able to watch those teams duke it out and watch their weekend culminating to that game was special, and every little detail it seemed like was special as well.
So we have still some folks tuned in that are the sickos as we kind of wind this down. I can't believe I didn't say this at the very beginning of this segment. Kato, you went viral, bro. Everyone's seen the snap, or not the snapshot, but the video of the cart with Ryan Day and Will Howard on it, and they run not full speed, but pretty close to it into that like concrete wall. And if you go back and watch that clip, stay watching the cart for a second, and you'll see Kato just pass through the clip really quickly. My side of it was we're about to film something on the field. We're getting something else for the camera. Kato goes back to the media room, and then you walk back out, and you're like, dude, the Ryan Day's cart just, like, smacked the cement. I was like, I didn't really, like, register what you had told me at that point in time. Tell the people at home the play-by-play for you with the moment where Ryan Day's car just goes darn near full speed into a brick wall post-national title game.
Yeah, so we're on the field after the game. We're about to shoot our reactions. If you haven't watched them, make sure you check those out.
Shout out.
It's died down a little bit. The vibes have calmed down a little bit, but there's still some fans in the stadium. And all of a sudden you hear the fans start erupting a little bit more. And you look over, and it's the cart that has Ryan Day in it and the players that will speak at the press conference on the game making their way to the press conference. So we all saw that on the field. We saw that happen. Amid that, we had a little bit of audio issues. I was going back to the media room to get some different equipment. On the way there, I hear a little bit of a commotion, a skirmish a little bit. I'm like, what's going on here? And I see this cart just like on the wall. It looks like it got T-boned or something and someone left the scene. But the cart was down bad. I felt very bad for the girl who was driving it. She was a little embarrassed, clearly. And Will Howard and those guys were just laughing at it. Jack Sawyer was having a good time with it. They got off the cart. If you see me in the video, I flew by the scene. I was on a mission. I was on a mission to get us our audio equipment. I didn't have time to really take in that moment. But our other producer for the Andy and Ari show, River Bailey, tells me on the way back, hey, we have it figured out, like, never mind. So on the way back, I got a really good look at the cart. And you can go to my Twitter right now at Kaiden__Smith if you want to see what the cart looked like.
Yes.
Front axle's cooked. That cart might still be in that hallway right now because the injury report is doubtful. That cart will not be back in the game anytime soon. It needs some roadside assistance. But yeah, I was there mere moments after the accident, I guess we can call it. And a part of history, man. You never know when the moment's going to be yours, but I had my 1 second of fame there at the Natty.
Dude, I love that clip so much because you go back and look at it, and just like you said, go check it out on Cato's Twitter. That car is like the axle is broken. Like it's not recovering. Yeah, shout out. We miss you already. But Cato in the clip does not care about what, like, my guy is on a freaking mission. Talk about a program guy through and through. He's like, Ryan Day, sorry you just got into a car accident. I got somewhere to be. We got a job to do. Main thing's the main thing. So shout out to you, bro, for just, I mean, keeping the tunnel vision in that moment. I would have probably like texted you and said, hey, bro, I'll be back in an hour. Something just went down in the hall.
One foot in front of the other, man. One foot in front of the other. It's so funny that I told y'all about the moment on the field before it was viral. And then afterwards we see it blow up and it's funny. And then of course I'm in the video. So big win for the brand, man. We were in the eye of the storm, and I think they should like take the cart and like enshrine it in some kind of like museum, College Football Hall of Fame right down the street. Just take the cart, get it over there, tow it over there maybe. And it's a funny part of history. I think we have game balls, game worn stuff. There needs to be a section for like the viral moments of history, and that's an early one when it comes to this new era of social media and the national championship. So